Welcome, everybody. Mike Martinez and Sensei One. We are in Born to Win Conversations. This is the conversation number 3. Guys, I is this 3 or is this 4? I think this
I
is
think this is
4, right?
4, right? I lost
Oh
track.
man, I don't know, man.
I lost track.
That's embarrassing that we don't know whether we're on 3 or 4. But either way, Sensei, we're on a topic today. It's about parents helping their children start businesses and
Yes.
what that does for their future. So don't go away. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. And remember, if this is the first time you're on this channel, make sure you click the subscribe. Make sure after you hear our message, you hit the like button, share this with your social media, and comment. We want to hear your comments. So, Sensei One, it's amazing that we are going to talk about this today because you know what? Today I went shopping with my wife, and right outside of the fruit stand where I was at, we had some Girl Scouts, and I got my Thin Mints, right?
Oh, all right.
But you know what? Yeah, I mean they're $5 now, man. They went up a little bit, but they were $4 for the longest. But you know what? That is such a great lesson for what we're talking about. Such a great thing, right? Because you think that, oh, you got these girls there, they're in the cold, they're waiting outside,
Right, right,
they're hearing
right.
rejection, but this is a great opportunity for them to experience what business it's all about, right? What do you say on that?
Right, right. I think it's one of the greatest things that gifts that we could give our children. I really believe in this. I believe that as parents, we have to give them the opportunity to experience being an entrepreneur at a young age. Okay, one of the reasons that I believe this, Mike, is that I've done some research and my own personal experiences, but they say that most self-made millionaires, right, are have an experience in sales. Okay, they have some kind of experience in being an entrepreneur in sales. And if we give that to our children at an early age, they can make better choices in the future. All right. Maybe they don't want to be entrepreneurs. Maybe they want to work a regular 9 to 5 job, work for 40 years, retire with a pension. But at least if you give them that option, they can look at things differently. Or maybe they'll say, Dad, I'm going to go to college. I want to get my master's, my PhD, but I also want to have a business on the side. Or maybe while they're going to college, they'll have a business on the side that helps support them through their college years. And there's a lot of benefits. They've done studies on this that one of the benefits that young children get when you start on that path of entrepreneurship, they become less fearful of public speaking. They develop better money management skills. They develop better interpersonal skills with people. They know how to deal with rejection and failure a lot better because as businessmen, we experience that all the time. Also, they develop a greater sense of responsibility, time management, and there's something really really interesting about time management. There's a study out there. They try to figure out, well, why do most businesses fail, right? Or I'm gonna say, why do businesses fail? And they found interesting that 13% of businesses that fail because of time management. Isn't that something?
Hmm.
Right?
Very
13%.
interesting.
That's a lot. 13% is a big
Yeah, yeah.
component when you think that time management is a given skill that as adults we would become better able to manage our time, and it's not true. So if we give our children that from an early age, as they get older, they're going to experience greater success. And also, developing an entrepreneur mind, I think, helps you even if you work for somebody else, because at the end of the day, you are still working for yourself. You got to keep yourself hired. I always say that even though I work for the hospital during the day, I have to prove my worth every single day, because it's very easy to replace anybody. You know,
Mm,
especially like with the times that we're going through, it's very easy to say, this guy is not that productive. He's not that motivated. We got to stay on top of him. Uh, let's let him go. You know what I'm saying? But if you
right.
go in there with that entrepreneur mind, even though you're working for somebody else, you can increase your value. What do you think, Mike?
Well, one of the things that I think, and I think we've discussed this before, and I'd like to get your insight on this because I went to a graduation, a kindergarten graduation party for one of my grandkids, and there was maybe 7 or 8 other kids graduating, right? And the interesting thing was that they took every kid and they said, well, what do you want to do when you grow up, right?
Right,
And if the kid's mother was a hairdresser, then the kid would say, I want to be a hairdresser, right? I want to cut hair. If the kid's father was a truck driver, oh, I want to be a truck driver. It always kind of piggybacked off of the parents, right? and
right,
and you could actually see that the parents felt this sense of pride. Even some people were, kind of tearing up seeing their kids saying, oh, I want to own a salon like mom or whatever, right?
right, right,
But at the same time, I'm sure that a lot of them, right, if they're a truck driver or they're working in, wherever, a lot
right,
of them see the struggle there and see, that they really wouldn't want. I don't think most parents would want to pass on their current occupation to their kids unless you're doing something that you absolutely love, right?
right, right,
Yeah, but my question to you is because most parents, most people out there don't like selling. And what you
right,
mentioned before is that, a lot of the millionaires were involved in some kind of selling thing. And that's
right,
how they became millionaires because there's really no cap to your income when you're a good salesman, right?
right, right,
When you can sell and you can sell a lot, your income is unlimited, right?
right.
But how do you take a parent or yeah, how do you take a parent that just abhors, selling and say, hey, listen, if you want to help your kid become an entrepreneur, then you want to teach them, you want to help them learn some selling skills. What would you say to that?
I think when you're talking about the parents, there's an education that you have to go through. All right, because again, in this country, it's funny, we always look at salesmen as the bad people, the guy who's trying to manipulate you, who's just trying to take your money. And a great salesman doesn't do that. A great salesman will fulfill a need. All right, and yeah, he wants to make the most amount of money, and he deserves that. All right, but they're going to look at you and they're going to say, listen, I have to fulfill that person's need. And they're not only selling to you, but they want all those referrals. So they're going to do the best they can to service you in the best way possible so you can keep coming back and bring your friends and your family. And you got to paint selling at that level. Also, um, we're all salesmen. We're all in sales. Okay. I'm a therapist by day, but like when I train students, I always tell them, listen, if you can't sell the patient on the idea, number one, that they can get well and that you can help them get well, nothing else is going to matter. You can study all the therapy or the philosophy you want, but nothing happens until that patient buys into the idea of I can get well and this person can help me get well. Until that happens, nothing else is going to happen.
Right.
So, we're constantly selling. You know what I'm saying? We sell our small children that they got to go to school, they got to get good grades. Because, listen, most 4, 5, 6 years old, if you let them stay home and watch TV all day, that's what they're going to do. If you let them eat junk food all day, that's what they're going to do. But we sell them on the idea that, no, you have to go to school. This is part of the process. Listen, you got to eat well because this is what you have to do. So we're constantly selling. If you want to find a good marriage mate, you have to sell her on the idea, or him on the idea, that you're the person for them. So we're constantly doing this, and you have to educate people. Listen, this is what we do all day long. And I like what Zig Ziglar said. He said, nothing happens in this country until a salesman sells something first. That
Mm.
the economy of this country was actually pushed forward by salesmen. What do you think, Mike?
Well, that's a very, very interesting subject, and we could be talking about that for years and years, literally, not
Yeah,
even
yeah,
hours, not even days or months. I'm talking about years,
right,
because really that's the core of everything, right? Even a parent has to, like you said, has
right,
to sell their kids on certain ideas. So selling is a prerequisite for success, I believe. But I like the way Jim Rohn um, puts it out there. When he explains money to a kid, he says, listen, you got to provide some kind of value. And the
right,
more value that you provide, the more money you're gonna accumulate. The more money you're gonna, you work at McDonald's and all you're doing is flipping hamburgers, you're gonna get paid a certain amount of money. But if you're
right,
doing something of more value than just flipping hamburgers or making fries, then your income is going to slowly start rising, right? And
right,
how high
right,
could you take it? How much value can you provide? So, that idea of providing value and becoming a good salesman, I think, is the key, right? That should be
right,
the two lessons every parent should be training their kids on. Hey, if you wanna be a person of wealth, then you got to know how to
right,
communicate in a certain way where you can
right,
transmit
right,
enthusiasm for an idea. That's what selling is. But you also have to be able to provide value so that then, the marketplace responds to value, right? It doesn't
right,
make a
right,
difference if you're white, black, male or female,
right,
Christian or Muslim. If you're
right.
providing value, the marketplace is gonna reward you for that.
Right.
So, how do you carry that on?
I think that's it's, again, teaching those values to children at an early age is super important, because our society now, in general, I'm not going to say everybody, but what I've seen is that kids are being rewarded for minimal things. All right,
Mm,
like they go into a sporting event, everybody gets a trophy whether they win or lose, right? So those kids, okay, they showed up. You don't want to discourage them, but listen, maybe they didn't put the effort in as much as they could have, because they know they're going to get a trophy anyway. All right, but the
right, right,
marketplace is not like that. And if you teach your children entrepreneur and how to become entrepreneurs at a younger age, they start to understand, I have to provide value. Effort is not enough. I have to produce a result. And I think we've gotten away from that as a society. Whereas now you get a generation of kids that want to be rewarded for minimal effort. Okay, and then they complain that they're not successful in the marketplace. They'll go out there, well, I got a PhD or master's. Why am I not getting paid more? Well, you're not providing the value. You may have the knowledge, but you're not providing the value that is necessary. And I think if we take our children at an early age, like I've told you before, my son, I have a certain amount of students that help me run my business. My son has been, since he's 4 years old. I have a couple of girls who are now 17, 16, one is 13. But since the time they were like 9 or 10, I've been teaching them at the school. They hand out receipts, they take the payments, they keep my monthly stats, they take attendance. When I gotta do orders for my school, sometimes when I have meetings, like they're always with me. So they see that process of running a business. What does it take to be successful? And now it's funny because two of them said they would never want their own business, okay, because of the amount of
Mm,
work it takes. But they developed a strong discipline that whatever career they get into, they're going to be great at it. All right. Now, I have one or two who are thinking about, hey, you know what, Sensei, I could do this part time. And I told them, if you do it right, hey, you have a part time income of, let's say, 50, 60,000 a year added to your additional income, right? And now, Lord forbid you lose your regular job, you have your business to fall back on, and you're not homeless. See, and I think that's one of the key values that as parents we got to give our children choices. And if you give them only with the mentality you got to go to school, you got to get a 9 to 5 job, you're limiting their options. And what happens, like what we just went through with the COVID and people being laid off, what happens when they have no other choices? But now, if we train them to be entrepreneurs, they may say, you know what? Right now, there are no jobs out there. But because mom and dad taught me how to be an entrepreneur, I can go and create my own job. What
right.
do you think,
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you know, you hit on something that I wanted to segue into, which is, you know, getting that mind prepared. You mentioned the mind of an employee or the mind of an entrepreneur. I
Mike?
remember reading about the Egyptian culture, right? And we're talking about way back when Tutankhamun was, you know, was around, right? When they used to
Right,
have those pharaohs and stuff like that. They used to actually have, you know, in their big mansions, they used to have these corridors, right? They had depictions. They used to have these pictures painted along the walls, right?
right,
And what was the equivalent of a male nanny, right? They used to have like the little prince of the king's son,
right,
or the pharaoh's son. They used to have him walk around with this male nanny, and the male nanny used to say, "You see that picture right there? That's you as the king, and you right
uh,
there, you're going into war, and right
right,
there, you just defeated your enemy, and you took over that land." And they will walk through the day. They will walk with them, telling these kids these stories just to program their mind on how
right,
to think like a royal, you know, like a king.
right, right,
So that's critically important, and I think that a lot of us in America, and not only America, but in the world in general, we've just given the responsibility over to education, right?
right,
And
right,
really, you gotta see what the foreground of that education is, right? What's the ultimate purpose? Are
right,
we just building an entrepreneur? I mean, an employee mentality, or do we want our kids to be thinking at a wider range, right? Because a
right,
lot of
right,
times you hear this mistake of parents saying, "Hey, you need to get a good education." Nothing wrong with education. Education
right,
is good,
right,
but you know, when you drill in your kid's mind, you need to get a good education, you need to get a good job, you need to work with them for 20 years, 50
right,
years,
right,
whatever,
right,
and retire with a golden watch. That may have been reality for 50 years ago, but as you know, today
right,
that's not reality. The statistics tell us today
right,
that a person that graduates college is going to be in 5 different careers outside of their normal college training, right? So, you
right,
know,
right,
how do we as parents, and I do this in several different ways, right? With my grandkids,
right,
my kids are already adults, but with my grandkids, I want to drop in their head the idea that being an entrepreneur is a lot more advantageous because there's no cap to your ceiling, right? You
right,
can make as
right,
much money as, again, how much value can you create? So,
right.
what do you say to a parent how do you start that process of walking the kid through the corridor like the Egyptians did, giving them a story and telling them that's you need to do this, this is what you're gonna, what would you say to a person for that mental aspect, that mental
Right, right.
training aspect?
One of the things that I love to do with my children and, the kids who are in my black belt club, every once in a while, I'll drive through really expensive homes. I'm talking about $3, $4 million homes. And I look at them, I tell them, listen, this could be your home. All right. If you
Mhm.
do, educate yourself, invest your money right, learn how to be successful. There is no reason why you can't have this. If others are having it, you can do it. Even my son, because my son was going to go into the medical field. He took a year at Queens College. He was in pre-med. And it's funny because when I was teaching him how to drive, we were driving through those houses. And he later on came to me and he said, listen, Dad, I don't want to be in a medical field. I want to go back to my passion, which is architect. And I told him, well, what caused you to change? He
Mm.
says, driving through those homes, rekindle that fire in him to be creative, to be an architect. And I told him, son, I as a parent don't care what career you choose, just be great at it, be successful at it, be happy, be passionate, be financially successful at it. And there's about three of the girls that are always with me in my black belt club. When they drive around with me, it's amazing because their shift in thinking is not like I can have the same level of success as my dad or my mom. They did well for themselves. They're thinking about going so much further now, okay, and being in a
Mm.
position where they could take care of their parents. All right. So that's one way to do it, expose them. And sometimes as parents, maybe we don't have the financial resources to do certain things for our children, but we can connect them with maybe a book, a video, just driving around certain areas and letting them see how possible this is. Because at the end of the day, the people living in those homes, listen, they're just like you and me, but they made different choices and they've taken specific actions to get where they're at. But they're really not that difference between you and me. And like we were just discussing before, 80% of the millionaires in America are self-made.
Mm.
Only 20% inherent health. So that means for every 10 person that's a millionaire, 8 of them may started from scratch. So
Right.
why can't that be our children? What do
Right.
you think,
Right.
Mike?
Yeah, well, and you touched on a lot of good things there.
Yeah.
What I think, and this is not so easy for parents, right? Because a lot of times I think we kind of um, not give enough credit to our kids for the things that they love, right? But
Right,
but in
right,
in reality, we should be kind of getting them to think, what do you enjoy doing,
right,
what do you really enjoy doing that you would be good at, that you could do and make money with, right? Because a
right,
lot of
right,
times we like to throw the, hey, why don't you be a doctor, why don't you be a lawyer, why don't you be
right,
this,
right,
right? Because
right,
we think, hey, there's good money in that,
right,
you should learn that, right? But the fact of the matter is, and I was looking at this study from millennials, right? They asked them, do you want to go into the same profession as your parents? And they said, listen, I think my mom and my dad, they are slaves to their jobs and
right,
they hate what they do, and I don't want to be in that position. I want to have more freedom. This is what
right.
millennials came up with. So I think there's a major paradigm shift. There's a shift in thinking where people, the younger generation, is saying, you know what, I'm going to figure out what I love and I'm going to pursue that. And a lot of times, again, because of our short-sightedness, our meaning parents, we
Right,
we
right.
kind of, I mean, you can't make money with that, and you'll be surprised. I mean,
Yeah,
when you think about the hula hoop, right? The
yeah,
hula hoop, which still today they sell millions of them every year. right?
Right.
But when the guy came up and invented the hula hoop, people said, "Are you kidding me? A thing that people swing around their body? Come on,
Right.
that's
Right.
ridiculous. Who would buy
Right.
that?" Right? But he
Right.
found a way to make that a multi-million dollar industry, right?
Right.
So the fact of the matter is, we got to kind of encourage that thinking, that programming that we talked about, how to get them to thinking outside of the box and thinking a bigger term, but
Right.
also find out what is it that inspires you. What do you love?
Yeah.
What do you really? What is your playtime? That if you did it 16 hours a day, it wouldn't be work. It would be play, right?
Right. Right.
That's how I think we could find. We can help our kids be more, find their true calling in life.
Yeah. Absolutely, Mike. I think, again, because of the conditioning that we've gotten and the way we look at society is always take that route. Go to school, get your education, work 9 to 5. And again, that may be for some people. Not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody has the discipline for it. Okay. Or the courage. I'm going to say the discipline and the courage. And that's great. But I think as parents, our job is to give our children choices and exposure so they can see, listen, you know what? Daddy works during the day, but he also has a business on the side. Okay. When you start exposing them and saying, okay, well, listen, this is how I make my money. This is the pros and cons of each one. And they can say, you know what? I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to work for somebody. All right. And they start learning that at a young age. By the time they're 25, they've mastered those skills. Okay. So they
Right.
can go a lot further than say us who started at 35 or 40. The younger you start that your child on that route, the sooner they learn those skills, the better they master those skills. And you just open up a totally different world for them. And I think I had shared with you, one of the things that I do for all my students who get to their last brown belts, I give them these two books and they have to read them. This is 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, and this is the workbook. All right, and I think this is two really good things to give to teenagers because it gets them into that entrepreneurial mind. And like what we're talking about, maybe as a parent, you don't have all the skills to give them that, but you can expose them to books like this. You can say, hey, read it, or maybe buy one for you, one for them, and you read it together. All right.
Right.
And
Right.
again, I see a shift in, my guys who are in my black belt club, my teens that are with me, the way they think. I love the way they think because they're all thinking about being successful at their careers, being financially successful, and that they want to be able to take care of their families. They don't, like I have one particular young lady, she doesn't want to see her mother working once she gets successful. That's a motivation for her. You know what I'm saying? That,
Great
well,
motivation.
yeah.
Hmm.
And so I encourage that through the dojo. We encourage it. Um, but we have to instill this in our children because if we don't, again, we limit their choices. We limit what's available to them. And again, considering everything that happened in 2020, we realize that the job market can change from one day to the other. You may have a job one day, you may not have a job. And it may not be your fault. You could be the greatest employee in the world, but now they say, well, the government is closing our doors. You got to be home. All right. So what do you do
Right.
then? You have to know how to create your
Mm.
own job. Or let's say if you had a business on the side already, you could say, well, you know what? I don't have my full-time regular job, but I have my business. I'm self-employed on the side and I'm still making money from this. What do you think, Mike?
Well, you've been a great example for your kids simply because, and this is important, I think, because again, going back to that employee mentality that is so prevalent out there, the bottom line is that one income is not enough, right?
Right.
So you as an entrepreneur and a professional, because you're a professional in the medical field, you do your therapy, your occupational therapy, and then you go out there and you run your martial arts school. So you got
Right, right,
multiple streams of income, and within your martial arts school, you got multiple streams of income. So that's something that I think is critically important, because when you go out there and you tell your kid, hey, you got to get a good education, you got to get a good job, you're really just teaching them to be linear and just have one income, right? And
right,
then what
right,
happens? It happens to everybody. It happens to you. If you're a parent and you're looking at this, you got to admit that at some point in your life, the
right,
company said, I hate to say, but we're closing down. I hate to say, but the government just shot us down, or you just lost your job because my nephew he just came out of college and he
right,
knows your job better than you, right? Whatever the
right,
case
right,
is, but we've
right,
all been in those situations. And
right,
when you have just one income, now you're frantic, right? How, oh my
right,
God, what am
right,
I going to do about the mortgage? What am I going to do about the house? You got to teach your kids to create multiple streams of income, so that
right,
if one burns out, and the facts are the facts, the people that are at the highest level in financially in America and anywhere in the world have multiple streams of income. So
right.
that's one of the lessons that I think goes unknown, right? I didn't
Yeah,
know about multiple streams of income until I became an adult and started reading
right,
and
right,
and
right,
started looking at other people that were mentors of mine that said you need more than one, right? So
right.
I think that's one of the things. And again, what would you say, how could a parent start dropping that seed of multiple streams of income in their child's head?
I would, you know what? I would find a decent network marketing company. And I know that has like a
Mm,
bad connotation. People, oh, it's what do you call it, a pyramid scheme? No, there's some very good network marketing companies out there that you can start for $150, $200, low overhead. And I think that's an excellent way to start, because you don't have to rent an office. You don't have to make a big investment. And the child will learn, listen, if I sell, I make money. If I don't sell, I don't make any money. All right. That's basically the
right.
bottom line. All right. And once they start getting that income coming in, and maybe if they're provided with an allowance or something like that, they start to see, well, look, I got this income coming in, I got this coming in, and it builds up. That momentum could build up. All right. Or at the very least, it'll let the kid know, listen, you know what? That's too much for me. I don't want to be focusing on all these different things. So whatever career I choose, I have to be 1,000% successful, so that one stream of income can provide for me for, like forever, so I can build up wealth through it. You know, but again, we go back to that exposure to options, Mike. That I think when we talk about teenagers and we're talking about this topic is give them, preparing them to make choices, and so they can analyze what are the options. All right. And like you said, teaching them about banking, saving, investments, owning real estate. There's a thing that says that most millionaires in America own a minimum of three properties, right?
Mm,
Most billionaires in America own nine properties. That's interesting.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and they say, like you were saying, those multiple streams of income. So let's say I'm a millionaire because I don't know, maybe I was singing or whatever, but I invest in real estate. If my career goes down the tubes, I still have my real estate, and real estate you can always turn
Hmm.
turn for profit. So again, we just have to educate people and tell them, listen, the information is out there. All right, the information is out there. You just have to be you have to be willing to educate yourself as a parent, so you can educate your children. And I think, without criticizing people or being judgmental, I think that's where we fall short, because, after you work 8, 10, 12 hours a day, you come home, you take a shower, you eat a meal, you sit in front of the TV, you pass out. So you as a parent are not involved in that personal self-development, so they can't pass it to their children. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned network marketing. And again, like you said, a lot of people have a negative connotation about it. Oh, that's that pyramid thing. You know what? I think people should join network marketing companies just for the personal development,
Right,
because
right,
in network marketing you learn a structure, you learn sales, you learn personal development, you learn leadership skills, you learn communication skills. All that is worth a lot more than the income potential for me. Right now,
right,
the
right,
income potential could, if you're a person that runs with it, right, you could just make, I mean, it's ridiculous what some of these
right.
companies make. I was in a training in December for network marketers. It was 40,000 people that were in this training called
Wow.
GoPro, right? And it was done from Zoom, but it was 40,000 people that attended from around the world, and it was actually done in Las Vegas. I attended last year personally in Las Vegas, but this year it was done through Zoom. Now, it was all about network marketing, and there was, I mean, the number of $1 million earners that were in that training, it was ridiculous. Now,
Mm.
for those of you that don't know, $1 million is at least $83,000 a month. $83,000
Wow.
a month. And there
Wow.
was several people that were making five, six, $10 million a year. So think
Wow.
about that. Yeah.
Right, right,
So, you're talking $830,000 a month. Now, again, that may be lofty. Maybe your mind is not, can't even fathom that idea.
right,
But
right,
if you
right.
made $50,000 a year, would that be worth it to you? If you
Yep,
became a better person, a better leader, a better communicator, would it be worth it to you?
yeah,
Right? Sometimes, you take these vitamins, they say, oh, these are high price vitamins. But generally, network marketing products are very, very good.
right,
So, they're not the general Walmart products that you would buy in
right,
the
right, right,
supermarket or Walmart. They're exceptional products. And on top of that, you're learning, you're getting a mentor. On top of that, you're learning a structure. On top of
right,
that, you're learning personal development. So is it worth it? I think it is. But even
right.
beyond that, if you said, no, Mike, there's no way in the world I'm going to do network marketing, that's that pyramid thing, no way, right? You could still, with the internet, you could do anything, right? You could become
Right, right,
some kind of an influencer. You could
right,
go out there and do a podcast. You could go out there and, I don't know, do video marketing, whatever. I mean, there's a ton of
right,
different
right,
ways in which you could do that. You can make your own products and sell
right,
it on the internet. So,
right,
I mean, it's really just limited to how far you can think, how much
right,
out of the box can you think.
right,
So there's a lot of options these days. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. And you know what? One of the best ways for you as a parent to help your child is by you doing that. Are you making multiple streams of income? Because they're
right,
going to
right,
follow
right,
your steps, right?
right.
And if you decided, or even if you have the slightest inclination, you know what, these guys are right, I should try something, I should do something, I should get a good network marketing company, or I should do something online. Jump in there, do it,
Yeah,
be the example for your
yeah,
kids, right?
yeah.
Be the person that has more money, right?
Right,
So there's a lot of good things that can come out of this discussion, and
right,
it's all really about what you have the desire and the energy to put into it, and the stick to itiveness, right? Because there's a learning
right,
curve there. There's going to be some ups and downs.
right,
You can go through it because other people have. And if other people have done it, then you
right.
can do it also.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny that you know, network marketing gets a bad rap. And I'm not trying to push any one company here or whatever, but you know, as an employee, as an employee who gets paid by the hour, I know that no matter how many patients I help in one day, no matter how great I am at my job, I'm still going to get paid the same. Okay.
Right.
Now, in my dojo, if I want to make more money, all I have to do is go get more students. See what I'm saying? So there's no cap there, like you was talking about.
Mhm.
And in network marketing, if you know there are some scams out there, you got to be careful. But basically, in network marketing, if you sell, if you follow the protocol, the trainings, you got to go to the trainings, and you follow what your mentors tell you. At some point, you will meet with some level of success. I was reading this thing where they say in network marketing, some as a standard, let's say most people don't see a significant income in the first 3 years. But if they
Mm.
stick to it, no matter what the company is, after 3 years, you make a sizable income. But you got to stick with it for
Mhm.
3 years. All right. And again, I think that's a lesson that's very valuable to teach children because again, we live in a world where everything is instant. You know, you speed dial your phone, you microwave your food, everything is fast. But success, true success in the marketplace does take time. You know, and
Mhm.
there are overnight success. Some people come in, they get lucky, you know, whatever. But most successful people in the marketplace, it takes time to build up your reputation, to develop your skills, to master those skills, to let the community know who you are. All right. That's a process. Okay. And again, the sooner we teach that to our children, the better they will become at that at those at that system of success. I just want to put it that way, you know, because there
Mhm.
is a system to success no matter what you pursue. And the earlier they master those skills, the further ahead they will be in life, you know. And I just think that it's something that as parents we owe our children. It's like I think the last time we talked, I quoted a scripture from the Bible that basically says a good father leaves an inheritance for his children's children. In other words, you leave an inheritance even for your grandchildren. But we can only do that
Mm.
if we are successful and if we teach our children to be successful. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I love what you said about the 3-year plan, right?
Right,
I was just looking with my wife right before we did this conference. There's a movie called, and if you have Netflix, I encourage you to go out there and look at it. It's called Beyond the Secret. You and I talked about the law of
oh, okay.
and the secret. Well, there's a movie called Beyond the Secret, and they got this one guy there named John the Greek. And John the Greek came from Greece with $3,600 back in 1984 or 86, one of those years, and said, you know what, I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna do this, and
Right,
he was involved in 16 network marketing companies in 18 years.
wow,
He didn't have no success whatsoever until that 16th one. And all of
wow,
a sudden, it just blew up for him. Right now,
right,
are you gonna say, "Wow, it must have been that new product, or it must have been that new company"? Maybe, but
right, right,
more likely it was those 16 years that he learned the lessons, that he learned the leadership skills, that he learned the personal development, that he learned the person he needed to become in order to attract that success at that level with number 16. So a lot of times you hear people say, "Oh no, I've been doing this for 3 4 years. I haven't made a dime. I haven't, I'm just using the
right, right.
product." And right, and then all of a sudden they just blow up. Right
Yeah,
now, some people allow the past failures to predict their future, and so they get
right,
stuck in that rut. Right, but
right,
then there you got some people that are always, they have an open mind, and they say, you know what, this is just temporary. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find the right leader. What's interesting is, in this GoPro that I attended, the
right.
top earners said they had 5 people that took off. I'm talking about people that are making millions of dollars a year. They said, I found 5. I found 5
Wow.
people, and you don't find them all in 1 month, right? You
Right,
may
right,
find one year, and then for another 2 years, you might find the other two, right?
right.
But that's how it happens. You find somebody that wants it so bad that they
Yep.
don't care if you drop dead, they continue doing it, and
Right,
that's the key. If you could stick around until you find the 5, right?
right,
And that's pretty much about the the success formula for any business. If you
right, right.
really, the first couple of years, you said, oh man, I got 12 students. I remember you telling me,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got 12 students that came in the door and 4 of them just quit, right?
yeah,
That's just the
yeah,
way it works in the beginning.
yeah,
That's part
yeah,
of the game. And then
yeah,
slowly but surely, now you got 30 that are there all the time.
yeah,
And then you got 50 that are there all the time.
yeah.
And that happens in every business. So again,
Right.
and here's what I want to ask you, man, because we're going to be closing this pretty soon. But I want to ask you, if you were to give a parent looking at this right now an actionable step, what would you say? Listen, if you really want to help your kid do something, start thinking, or maybe start planting the seeds on becoming an entrepreneur, or bigging, or doing things that they love, or thinking bigger, what would you say, Sensei?
I would say three things
Mm.
right off the top of my head. One, like you and I believe in so much personal development. We got to lead by example, okay? Because I cannot give you what I don't have. That's just reality. If I don't have it, I can't give it to you. Number two, expand your thoughts on America. Okay. And and again, Michael, forgive me if I get too political or anything like that. I don't want to offend anybody, but you know, over the past couple of years, everybody, down in America, it's racism, this, and that. And the statistics of the success rate of people in America is completely different. All right. We're the number one creators of millionaires throughout the world. We're the number one place to start a business. Okay. From kindergarten through 12th grade, you get a free education. All right. Take advantage of that. There's free libraries that you can take advantage of. There's people who risk their lives coming to this country because in the back of their mind, they see America as the land of opportunity. And I think we as Americans need to start changing that vocabulary and start looking that this is still the place of opportunity. All right. Number three is really get your child involved with the personal development program also. Okay. Whether, again, teaching them entrepreneurial skills, get them involved if you can in some type of selling, network marketing, or like the Girl Scout cookies, get them into some kind of public speaking, let them expand themselves, and also let your children know that it's okay to fail from time to time because it's going to happen. All right. And what happens is a lot of times as good parents, we want our children to succeed. All right. But in that process, we kind of punish the failures. And now people don't want to fail. So sometimes they don't want to take a chance because they don't want to fail. All right. But if you say, you know what, failure is a part of the learning curve. We don't want to fail, but it's going to happen. You can't be afraid of failing. It's going to happen. How do we learn from it? And I think if we in general do those three things, we can put our children on a very good path. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I agree. And I love the fact that you started talking about, American statistics, and how sometimes they're interpreted the wrong way, right?
Right,
Here's something that I remember reading in 2019. It said the top two, believe it or not, they were very interesting. The top two nationalities that were making the highest level of income were Indian, right? The red
yep,
dot Indians,
yeah,
the people from India, not the American Indians,
yeah,
people from India, and Nigerians,
yep,
right? They explained that both of them are highly educated. Both of them are very creative when it comes to business. And like you said, they saw America as, man, if I could just get my feet on that land, I'm gonna make it
Right.
happen, right? And they made it
Right.
happen. So that's a very interesting thing. Now, for me, what I would tell a parent that's looking at this, if you want to start this, I'll tell you, for me, the number one form of leadership I'm talking about now, is when a leader does something so well that his followers follow on their footsteps. Just he doesn't even have to say, listen, I want you to do this. They just
Right.
see
Right.
that he does this so well that they follow on their own, right?
Right.
And as a parent, that should be your responsibility. It's not only your responsibility, it's your obligation to be that good, right? Now,
Yeah.
I know a lot of parents are going to say, oh, man, this is a whole bunch of hogwash, right? But my personal
Uh,
thinking, right, is
yeah.
that I want my kids to be better than me. I want my grandkids to be better than my kids, and I
Right.
want
Right.
them to be much better than me. So it's a matter of elevating the generation for me, right? So I don't
Right.
know. It may not work for everybody, but the number one way of doing that is by you leading the example. Like Sensei said, pick up the book, find a mentor. Have you gotten a mentor? Have you ever had a mentor? When was the last time you had a
Right.
mentor that you could say, you know what? I want to learn how to do this thing. That's one of the greatest things that I think martial art taught me was
Right.
about
Right.
mentorship, right?
Mm.
Because really, with mentorship, where's the limit? I could always
Right.
find somebody that knows how to invest in real estate better than me. I could
Right.
always find somebody that knows how to, invest in the stock market better than me. I could always find somebody that knows how to do better marketing than me. Right.
Right.
So I can, it's unlimited, the leadership, the mentorship that I can get. So
Right.
when was the last time you had a mentor? Right.
Right.
And again, the highest form of leadership is when you do something so well that other people observe that and they say, that's a great way of doing things, let me follow, without you ever saying anything, right?
Right.
Now,
Right.
that doesn't mean that you don't teach your kids. That doesn't mean that you don't suggest, hey, pick up Think and Grow Rich, read that book, do a
Right.
book
Right.
report
Right.
on Think and Grow Rich, and we'll do something special for you, right? Imagine
Right.
the power that you would have having a teenage kid reading a book like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends
Right.
and Influence People. That's a book on sales, right? And it's really not on
Yeah.
sales, but
Yeah.
you learn tremendous sales skills by How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's a book that was written in 1938. It stand the test of time. People are still reading it now. You still go to Barnes and Noble, you still find it in the bookstore. So is it something valuable? Absolutely. It wouldn't be on the shelf that long if it wasn't that valuable. So I mean, it's the little things that you as a parent, again, it is your obligation, it's your responsibility, it's your duty to do this and to help build your family and build your kids to the next level. So you got to start doing the little things, and you got to do them
Right. Right.
consistently, and you got to do them with a long range plan so that you
Right.
can go out there. So Sensei, I want to say thank you. I really love this subject, and I could talk about it for the next 4 or 5 hours and have a great time. And maybe
Right.
we'll revisit this with a second version of this. But again, if you're looking at this, give us a like if you like the message. Make sure you share this message on social media. Make sure you comment. If you have a comment,
Right.
say,
Right. Right.
you guys are crazy, or Mike, you're much more better looking than Sensei One. We all know that, but no, we want your comments, and we want to
Yeah.
we want to interact with you guys. So, anything you want to say in closing, Sensei?
Just two quick thoughts about mentoring. Remember, your mentor does not have to be perfect. Your mentor just has to be able to get you to the next level. That's it.
And your
Like
mentor
you were saying,
doesn't
if
even
you,
have to be alive, right?
yeah, yeah, it could be through a book, through a video. They just have to be able to get you to that next level. And like sometimes, like people will say, I'm going to use religion as just an example. Well, I don't go to church because I don't know what that priest is doing behind closed doors, or the people sitting next to me are hypocrites. And I would say, listen, I'm there for the message, not for the person. And it's the same way when we want to learn and better ourselves. You're not there for the person, you're there for the skill and the message that you can utilize to take you to to that next level. Okay. And I think that that's super, super crucial, because sometimes we get caught up with looking for perfect people, and it listen, we're all imperfect. We're all fall short on certain areas, and you just have to keep an open mind. And I had a second thought, and you know what? It just went out of my brain. I had a second thought.
Well, I'll
I
tell
can't
you
think what
what.
my second thought
Why don't
was.
you? Yeah.
I
Why don't
can't
you
believe
tell them
that.
what we're going to talk about next week?
All right, but again, I just think, again, piggyback on what you were saying about mentors is very crucial. Oh, this is the thought. I was listening to a motivational training a few weeks ago, and he gave the example. I think it was Billy Allbrooks or Eric Thomas. One of the guys, he's got some kind of a company, right? But he makes it mandatory to read self-development books.
Hmm.
And what happened was some of his employees started complaining that they had to read after hours, that that's not part of their job description. So he set aside about half an hour in the day where all employees must read. If they don't do it, they get fired. Okay.
Wow.
And that's how important personal development is. For a boss to say, I'm going to buy books for you, and you have to read these books, because at the end, a better employee makes his life a lot better. And there was a thing that, um, successful businesses that fail. Another reason why they fail, and I think it's about 50, 15 to 20% of the reasons why businesses fail is lack of teamwork
Hmm.
between the employees. All right. So again, if we
Interesting.
teach our children how to be entrepreneurs, how to do personal development, if we do that ourselves, those are those little hurdles that we can overcome. All right, Mike. So listen, I want to wish everybody a great evening. Please leave us some comments, get back to us. And what do you want to talk about for next week, Mike?
We're going to talk about mentorship.
Oh,
We're going to
cool.
go in deep on that. And so make sure that you watch us next week. We may be doing a live next week. We'll let you know. I'll let you know, and Sensei will let you know. But either
Right,
way, we're
right.
going to be talking about mentorship and how you could make mentorship your plan for advancing this year coming up. So Sensei, thank
Good.
you for being here. I appreciate it. And uh, all the best for the family, to give them my love. And we will be speaking to you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, leave us a comment, give us a like,
Right,
share
right.
this message on your social media so we could get some exposure. And we want to hear from you. So until next week, Sensei, you take care of yourself, buddy.
All right. Have a good night.